All right, we are going to move on to the next topic that we have right now. And man, oh man, is going down. We are going to begin. What are reasonable expectations for Rodgers and the Jets? Okay, this upcoming season. Because the reason why we even talking about this topic right now is because Aaron Rodgers did an interview. As you can see there.
There's pressure on all of us.
All of us, yeah.
Why do you say there's pressure on you?
Well, I think if I don't do what I know I'm capable of doing, we're all probably going to be out of here. So I like that kind of pressure, though. I know it's a tough market to play in. It's not for everybody. I relish that opportunity, and that's the way the NFL is. I'm not saying anything monumental as you guys are typing away and putting your tweets out. This is how it is every single year. You might not say it, but as you get older in the league, if you don't perform, they're going to get rid of you or bring in the next guy to take over. I mean, it happened in Green Bay. So, and I'm, a few years older than I was back then. So I expect to play at a high level. I expect this to be productive and competitive and all that stuff to take care of itself.
In which he was talking about how he almost ran for VP. Okay, and how there's a lot of pressure. Translation, everything that's going on right now with the Jets, you look at Rodgers' age and the expectations in New York. It is a ride or die season for the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers. And I would love to begin here with my take, right? Because Dino, so to my guy Dino, we did a show a couple days ago when we reacted to the fight, the undisputed fight, Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury. Great fight, by the way. Okay. And Dino made a point that really he made broad when he was talking about retirement. Okay. And how this whole retirement thing in and out is not good for the athlete. He didn't really just use it for boxing. In fact, he didn't even mention boxing. I knew why he brought it up, because it was a shot at Tyson Fury, who retired about 3 times already in his career and came back and arguably should have lost 2 straight fights. He should have lost to Francis Ngannou, in which he didn't prepare for that guy, right? But he made it broad. And I said to myself, yeah, Dino, you're right? And he is right. These athletes that try to retire or ponder with retirement is not good, because with the modern athlete or any athlete in general, it all starts up here mentally before we get to the physical, right? Now, obviously, there's a physical. Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old, coming back from an Achilles injury. That's the physical part, right? But I'm not even worried about the physical part right now at all, to be honest with you, right? Because he looked good out there in OTAs. He looks fine, okay? I'm not worried about the physical right now. I'm worried about the mental part of Aaron Rodgers and if he's all in, because he pondered with retirement before. Didn't he almost leave Green Bay for jeopardy? Okay? Like, he almost left for jeopardy, and now he wants us to believe this cotton bull story that he almost left the NFL for the vice president role with RFK. Folks, did you check the polls? This guy's getting cooked by Donald Trump. This guy's getting cooked by Joe Biden. This guy don't got no shot to be a daggone president. You wasn't going to no daggone VP. Cut the crap. I am tired of all this shenanigans with Aaron Rodgers. My God, this guy want to do everything but play football. Okay? No, you are not winning, bro. You're not going to go over there. Oh, I decided to choose another year of the NFL instead of going with RFK, bro. You was going to be right back in the NFL. Y'all ain't not going nowhere. He is not winning. Okay? It's going to be out of Donald Trump or Joe Biden, right? That's politics. Let's come back to football. Okay? Aaron Rodgers, him and this pondering other things. I look on social media. This guy's on every single podcast. And don't get me wrong, I agree with some of the stuff he be talking about. Okay, we share that conspiracy facts blood, right? Because I'm not even going to call it a conspiracy theory. Half of the stuff we are talking about is actually coming true. But that's another side topic, right? I see this guy on Tucker Carlson podcast and every other podcast. Do you really think this guy realistically, Zach? Realistically, Zay, I understand y'all Jets fans here, okay? So y'all pondering on this belief that y'all going, Aaron Rodgers is going to lead y'all on a donkey to a Super Bowl. You believe, okay? Realistically believe that this 40-year-old guy who's talking about politics, who's talking about this and talking about that, the last time we saw this guy, because we can't judge last year, right? Because 13 seconds, right? And Zach still thinks I'm taking victory laps because this guy got hurt, which is farther from the truth. Okay. Do you believe that you could evaluate last year? Like, how do y'all think y'all going to a Super Bowl? Like, y'all can use last year as an example? You can't. And the year before that, we all know was one of his worst years. So I think when we talk about expectations with this Jets team, because it's a lot, the media wants you to believe, okay, and buy into the Kool-Aid like how we buy into the Lakers, right? If you watch the NBA, you would think the Lakers would have won a championship this year because they pushing the Lakers down your throat. I was looking on Google this morning. Guess who's trending? The Lakers. They're not even in the daggone playoffs. Why the hell are they trending on Google? Okay, the media wants you in the NBA to buy into the Lakers. Oh, LeBron James gonna win another chip. LeBron James gonna pass Michael Jordan. Oh, the Lakers, the Lakers, the Lakers, the Lakers, the Lakers, the Lakers. And that's what the NFL is doing with the Jets. Okay, putting them on prime time, right back at it. Okay, 13 seconds wasn't enough. Right back at it. Okay, they have, I believe, 6 primetime games in the first 11 weeks. Stop shoving Aaron Rodgers in New York down our throats. It's not happening. Y'all not winning a Super Bowl. Okay, so I'm gonna dial it back and pass over this mic. When we talk about reasonable expectations, okay, it's not Super Bowl. It's to try to win this division. I think we can start off there. Let's build this thing brick by brick and evaluate on the fly. It's not Super Bowl right now, and it shouldn't be. It should be trying, because I don't even think they're the favorite, but it should be trying to win the AFC East. And I'm going to pass over the mic right now.
Yeah. First of all, great points. You made a lot of valid points all around.
Appreciate it, Zay.
The reasonable expectations is win the Super Bowl. Because you traded assets, you signed them back, you took in the contract, all the money, you revamped the offensive linemen, all veterans, you brought in Mike Williams for what? To win 9 games? To win 10 games? Go to make a wild card berth? It's to win a Super Bowl. You're talking about, a 40-year-old quarterback can't win a Super Bowl. Tom Brady did it.
He's the GOAT, my brother. Can't compare the two.
He went to Tampa Bay, a team that couldn't get over the hump, and won a Super Bowl the very next year. And he's talking about that he's a 40-year-old quarterback who did it. People compare Aaron Rodgers to one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. People say it all the time. The most talented quarterback to ever play the game. He's not Tom Brady in terms of accolades, but we talk about throwing the football. You talk about talent. X, Y, Z. Aaron Rodgers is up there with one of the greats. And you tell me he can't do it? So
and how many rings he got? In the prime of his career, how many rings he got?
Where's my expectation? I expect to win it. Because why bring in a quarterback if we're not going to win it? Why bring him in? Why give it to Zach Wilson if we're not going to win it? Let him develop. It don't matter. He's terrible or not terrible. Let him develop. If we're not looking to win it, why bring in quarterbacks? Like, what's the plan? Make the playoffs? That's why we brought him back and making $40 million a year. Took on that contract. Right off to the sunset, Aaron Rodgers, we made the playoffs. Your career is complete. You took the New York Jets to the playoffs. That's not the expectation. Expectation to win it. We have a top 5 defense. We revamped the offensive line. You brought in a receiver who could be amongst, I don't know, top 20, top 25, however you want to rank him. I'm not gonna go into the list right now, but he's a great receiver. People are calling Garrett Wilson a top 10 receiver in the league. People are calling Breece Hall one of the top 10 running backs in the league. So what is our expectations? That what are we supposed to say? Oh yeah, we just want to get over 500 this year. Like, that's not enough. The expectation is Super Bowl. The floor is AFC championship. That's the floor because that's who you brought in. You brought in one of the biggest names in football, if not the biggest name in football. That's the expectation. If you would have brought in Derek Carr, we're not having these expectations. If you would have bring in Kirk Cousins, we're not having these expectations. It's because you brought in Aaron freaking Rodgers, the guy who came in, who I think was it 2 years ago, he went back-to-back MVPs that everyone keeps talking about. The guy who has one of the best completion percentages in NFL history. That's the guy we keep talking about. And you're saying when we bring him in, we're not expecting a damn Super Bowl? Hell yeah, we're expecting it. Because that's the guy you brought in. That's it. If you're a Jets fan, you're not expecting a Super Bowl, I don't know what to tell you. You shouldn't be a Jets fan. Because there's nowhere else we can go. There's nothing else that Aaron Rodgers can do for this Jets team that is acceptable other than winning a Super Bowl in a green
can y'all get like a 4,000-yard passer? I think y'all shooting for the stars, but you got little barriers that you got to collect, right? Can you get a 4,000-yard passer? Okay, can you win a playoff game? You have a playoff drought. Okay, that's like 16 years. Okay, can you win a playoff game? Right?
If you go playoffs, that's not enough. But like the land my plane. Unfortunately, there is no such thing as a reasonable expectation when it comes to the Jets. because anything with expectation is completely turns into a disappointment. So the thing is, you brought in a quarterback who is more controversial than amazing on the football field, and you're expecting us to be okay with anything less than a Super Bowl. That's not possible. You brought him in here saying we're a quarterback away. You brought in the guy, no matter what age he is. You brought in the guy. So if you're saying anything less than a Super Bowl is acceptable, it isn't. You have to come in and win a championship. Unfortunately, that's the pressure he brought in. That's the pressure he knew he had to take on when coming to the New York Jets. You have to win the Super Bowl. If not, it's a failure. Nothing more, nothing less. Even if you get to the Super Bowl and there's 2 seconds left with the lead and we lose the game, it's a failure. I don't make up the rules. That's just what it is. That's the type of pressure he has on his shoulders right now. And that's why playing in New York is the toughest atmosphere, because when you bring in a big marquee name like that, we're expecting a championship. Nothing more, nothing less. But I don't end my play with that.
All right. A lot to react to here. And I'll start up by saying this. I think the overall goal for the Aaron Rodgers era is going to be ultimately to win a Super Bowl. I still think this guy has 2, maybe 3 years left. And yeah, that's what we want as Jet fans, right? To ultimately break the 50-plus year curse. But I'll start off by saying this, guys. I think the number one goal right now has to just be making the playoffs, considering we haven't done it since 2010, which is not only the longest active streak, or the longest active drought, I should say, in all of professional sports. Like, not only the NFL, but all of professional sports. The Jets also haven't even had a home playoff game or won the AFC East since 2002. And I think the best path for them to break that streak would be winning the division. So I think that's the number one goal. Making the playoffs, winning the AFC East, because we haven't shown we could do that in 20 years. But I'll also say this. I think straight up 1-53, the Jets have a better roster than Buffalo. I also think they have a better roster than Miami. I think both of those teams got significantly worse this offseason. And I also understand the last time we saw Aaron Rodgers play a full season 2 years ago, he had, a quote-unquote off year for his standards, but he threw for 3,900 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Yes, that's not a peak vintage Aaron Rodgers year, but could anyone tell me the last time a Jets quarterback has done that? Again, I'm not saying he's going to win MVP, but I feel pretty confident that playing this season behind a revamped offensive line with Garrett Wilson, with Breece Hall, at the very least, he's going to be a massive upgrade over Zach Wilson and any other Jet we've seen play quarterback in recent memory. I wanted to address the primetime games a little brought up. The Jets have 6 primetime games this season, which is tied for most in the NFL with the Cowboys and the 49ers. 6 out of the first 11 games, and that doesn't even include a standalone game against the Vikings in London. That's because not only New York is a massive market, but Aaron Rodgers, he brings eyeballs to the television screen. He's very polarizing. Whether you love him or hate him, whether you agree with his opinions or not, you're going to want to watch him on the football field and see what he does. And we didn't have that opportunity last year with the injury so early. So I'm super excited to see what this guy does, considering he's one of those guys also that when you count him out, that's when he's at his best. When the Packers draft Jordan Love and there are people calling his career over in Green Bay, he follows that up by winning back-to-back MVPs. And I'm looking forward to seeing, coming off of this injury, I understand he's been in the news a lot, but most people don't consider him a top 5, top 10 quarterback right now.
I don't even think he's the third best quarterback or the second best quarterback in his division. I think he's the third, but we could attack that in a second. Go ahead. Carry on.
Exactly. Like, it's stuff like that those opinions, like, I'm curious to see what he does and if he tries to flip that narrative at all, because we haven't seen him on the football field in a while. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I'm really looking forward to see, at the very least, the Jets having some improved quarterback play after having to watch Zach Wilson the last handful of years. And I think number 12 is in for a bounce-back season.
Yeah, I just don't think the NFL, before I come back to Aaron Rodgers, talking about the schedule here, I don't think the NFL has learned their lesson. I think they're very stubborn. And I understand, like, it's hard to criticize the sport that's really on a high right now when it comes to printing money. But at the same time, like, that's a downfall of the product of any empire, is thinking that don't stink. And the NFL has those leaks in there. When you talk about the schedule, right? They did the same thing with Denver when Russell Wilson went over there. Before they saw the product, they bought into the product. We're going to give you 5 primetime games. Russell Wilson is trash, garbage, done, finito. Okay, Nathaniel Hackett, ironically, is over there coaching, right? Nathaniel Hackett, right? Oh yeah, I'm gonna come back to that name in a minute because he's on the Jets. But anyway, Russell Wilson. Oh, we buying into this hype. Russell Wilson's gonna come here and lead Denver to a Super Bowl. So we gotta give them 5 primetime games. Coaching. Russell Wilson is trash. We have to sit there and watch all those primetime horrible games. I mean, Amazon Prime. No, Amazon, you was not in your prime. Amazon, I don't got time. Okay, Amazon, I don't got time. You're not in your prime. Games was garbage, right? And then last year, Aaron Rodgers coming over. Aaron Rodgers, yeah, waving the American flag. Oh, it's going to be a breeze. 5 primetime games, right? Maybe 6. I can't remember. But it was at least 5. Okay, week 1. Okay, and then 13 seconds, Aaron Rodgers, the party's over. Guess what? The primetime games are still in effect. We got to watch that garbage. We got to watch daggone Zach Wilson came and throw the daggone rock. Okay, we got to watch, what's the other quarterback name, man, that we saw one game in a prime time? I think
Tim Boyle.
Tim Boyle. Okay, really? Tim Tebow or Tim Boyle? Okay, we have to watch that garbage. And now we coming back to the same exact nonsense, right? The only thing I would say about the NFL is they lucky because they bought the same thing with the Lions hype, right? Oh, the Lions, we going to the Super Bowl, whatever. And that kind of like turned out good. But the NFL, man, is playing the same mistake, okay? Seeing the product, knowing how Rodgers actually look before you get them 6 primetime games. I can understand 2 to 3. It's New York. It's the market. I know Zach is getting ready to hit me with that. I get it. He said it already. I get it. But at least 2 to 3. You're hitting us with the 6. This guy's 40 years old. Okay, he could get injured faster. Knock on wood. I don't want to see this guy. No, I'm not taking victory laps, Zach. Okay, I'm not. Okay, come on. But another thing that I want to come back to.
Well, before you get into that, though,
go ahead.
On the Broncos point, since you brought it up, I wanted to ask you, like, when you're making that comparison, do you think that Aaron Rodgers this year is going to be like Russell Wilson was in Denver that first year? Like, do you think it's going to be that bad?
Well, it's hard to really top the Denver Broncos bad, right? Russell Wilson was trash. Now, I don't think Rodgers is going to be that bad. And even if he is, the Jets do got a good all-around team. I'm pretty sure we can talk about that, right? Their defense is good, one of the best in the league and all that. But at the same time, like, we don't know, like, if he's going to be healthy throughout the whole year. We don't know what can happen. Like, to invest 6 primetime games on a situation where you really don't have any evidence is going to work could really blow up in your face and be the NFL when it comes to these ratings. But I think for me, if that answers your question, I don't know if I can proceed. But
yeah, I just like all I'm saying is when you make that comparison, that's kind of how I'm like thinking. Like I'm trying to put myself like, okay, when you make that comparison, it kind of sounds
I made that comparison last year and it came true. Rodgers got hurt and we had to watch these bums on primetime television, bro. I was clocking out early. Now, we got to come back to Nathaniel Hackett here because that's a guy that was on the Broncos staff, okay, that I was referencing, and he's on the Jets. Y'all got a Hackett problem. And I think that Rodgers is going to overcome that because he had 3 good years with Nathaniel Hackett. We know what Nathaniel Hackett is already, okay? And Zay, we looked at the game, right, the playoff game, the Ravens and the Chiefs last year, right, because play calling matters. And you flat out ignored any Lamar Jackson. Yo, you could have did this better. You went straight for the play calling. Okay, Ty Monken, you need to get up out of here. That was a horrible game plan. But Lamar Jackson won the MVP, right? So play calling matters. It's going to matter. Okay.
But play calling took away the best asset that you have, and as Lamar Jackson running the football.
Yeah, the play call is all a combination of play calling. It's all a trickle down effective play calling. Okay. I don't believe in Nathaniel Hackett as a play caller. So if we talk the Super Bowl here, maybe that's your expectations as Jets fans, and maybe this question is really a conflict of interest because you do have an investment to see the Jets be successful. But when you're talking to this, with the average guy that really knows not only football, but doesn't have like a bias to this question, the reasonable expectation should be to at least win the AFC East, get you a 4,000-yard passer for once, and try to win a playoff game.
What does that do? Just did update the franchise records? That does nothing. Like what? Oh, we got a 4,000-yard passer, but we lost in the first round. That's not what you brought Rodgers in for. You didn't bring in Rodgers to break franchise records. You brought him in because people kept saying you're a quarterback away from being a contender. You're a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl, a contender, not even Super Bowl, a contender, right? You bring in Aaron Rodgers. That's not no average quarterback. If we would have brought in Derek Carr, people still would have said, "Oh yeah, now you're contenders." You brought in Aaron Rodgers, so the expectation is elevated because he only has a window of when he's going to be still an impactful quarterback in this league. So you have to assume Super Bowl because anything else, what was the purpose of bringing him in? For all that, we could just bring in the coaching staff, change around the coaching staff, and bring in someone that could develop quarterbacks, opposed to going out there and bringing in 40-year-old quarterbacks. The reason why we had to get a 40-year-old quarterback is because our coaching staff cannot develop a quarterback, and they haven't been doing so since the entirety of the Jets' franchise history. So that's more so we had to do this, and the expectation is Super Bowl because
I just think it's just like the Lakers. The NBA just wants y'all to believe that the Jets, because they're a big market, they got a shot to win. It's part of the programming, right? It's part of the generating of ratings and all that. That's why I get in all these primetime games. My point is, and this is my last point, and then Zach or Zay, feel free, is I think reasonable is try to win a division. And I don't even think that's going to be easy. A lot of people, once again, the media wants you to believe that the Bills have no shot because they traded Stephon Diggs. I still believe Josh Allen's the number one quarterback in the division, clearly. And I think they should be the favorites to win this division. Okay? Still, I really do. And obviously, it's early. Things could change. But we can't forget that this dude, Joe Brady, went 6-1 without really implementing his offense. Okay? Clearly, because he came in the middle of the year. So with an offseason to work with Josh Allen, their offense should be better, even without Diggs. They just got to mix and match those guys that they brought in this year and try to, go from there. But they should be better once they get gelling, right? Sean McDermott, I understand his game management and all that could be suspect and spotty, but he's still a good coach. We can't forget that. And even though they lost pieces on defense, he's a good coach. He could get the best out of some of those young guys, right? And then you got the Dolphins. They high octane. They flying, right? They just signed Odell Beckham Jr., right? I get it. Odell's not number one. He's not number two, but he could be a number three at least, right? I just believe that we got to stop drinking this Kool-Aid of Super Bowl and just be reasonable. Like, when I mean by reasonable, I mean logical. Saying that the Jets are going to win the Super Bowl when you have a guy 40 years old balancing politics is not reasonable. It's unlogical. Okay, this guy really should have ditched the NFL and hopped over there and helped this boy out RFK because he needs help. Okay, what's more important, the country or football? When you know damn well you only playing 1 or 2 more years. Okay, no, bro, it's not happening, bro. You should have went with RFK. Obviously, you would have lost, but at the same time, help your brother out. Okay, he needs a lot of help. Look at the numbers. Okay, you pro, anti-establishment. Okay, right? You're talking about the vaccines and all that, right? Okay, the country needs you right now. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm drifting away here. Let me shut up my mouth. Zach, the mic is yours.
No, and Lil, I understand what you're saying. Like, I get it could be a little nauseating for a team that hasn't made the playoffs in 2010 to say it's Super Bowl or bust. Like, I get that point. But I will say it's just hard when your franchise has one Super Bowl trophy. It happened 50 years ago, more than that, and they haven't been back since. So, Will, I'll ask you this. I'll say it right now. I'm not picking the Jets to win the Super Bowl, but I'm picking the Jets to win the AFC East most likely. And if that were to happen, would you consider that a successful season from your standard?
Successful? No, I don't think so. I don't think, and I don't want y'all to get confused, right? With me saying it's not a success, but me being reasonable. When I'm talking about reasonable, I'm just giving y'all my opinion of, just being realistic with y'all expectations. Okay. But we do know from y'all perspective, y'all invested a lot in Aaron Rodgers. Y'all expect to win a championship. So anything less than that is not going to work out in y'all favor. Y'all going to feel like, we wasted our time. But at the same time, I do believe that it's reasonable to try to win a division, make the playoffs, give the Jets some feeling of being competitive, not waste another year of the prime defense that y'all have put together nicely, constructed wise, through draft and all that. You have a nice defense. You have one of the best defenses in the league. Could arguably, with a quarterback, he can make you look good. It could be arguably number one in the league, right? So you don't want to waste that. But I do believe that anything short of a championship is a failure.
It's just to land the plane, what do you believe the expectations are for Rodgers and the New York Jets? I think we've covered every point that we can with the New York Jets for the last 2 years now in terms of Aaron Rodgers. Like and subscribe to the channel. We'll also leave a comment on what you believe the Jets should do, or what's an expectation that the Jets will have this season.
I'm gonna respond to Dujane before we leave. Look, I think when you talk about reasonable and what the general expectation is from the Jets fans and the organization is two different things, right? Because the Jets obviously made this move for Aaron Rodgers for one reason only, to deliver them a championship, right? Something that hasn't been done since you name it, right? But I think when you talk about being reasonable, like, all right, with all this primetime love that they getting right now, with all this, Sauce Gardner coming out saying we're going to win the Super Bowl and all that. All right, fine. What is reasonable expectations? What can the Jets really do this year once we put all that aside and just be logical? Okay, that's how I'm interpreting this question. But yeah,
please like and subscribe for all the up-to-date content. You've been slinging shows left and right, slinging content left and right. Please don't miss anything. If you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a question, something you may want to answer, something you may have. All ideas are great ideas. Nothing's a dumb question.